Huge breaking news at this hour. We on this program can now exclusively report that the Department of Justice has now started and is recovering some of the 5 months of missing text messages from Trump-hating FBI agents Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Also breaking right now, President Trump is telling the special counsel, Robert Mueller, that he will talk to him under oath. Sounds like the president has nothing to hide, but is it the right legal decision? We'll explore with our panel. And also brand new tonight, Robert Mueller and his mouthpieces in the corrupt liberal media, they are in a full-fledged panic and desperately trying to change the narrative to hide the truth amid a new stunning wave of information about anti-Trump bias, abuse of power, all at the highest levels, not the rank and file of the FBI and DOJ. Plus, you will not believe, you're not going to believe who James Comey hired to be his lawyer. That and so much more. Breaking news, the Department of Justice is urging the House Intelligence Committee Chair, Devin Nunes, not to release the classified memo exposing FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. Well, that is unacceptable to us, and it is why we are still demanding that Congress release the memo. Tell us the truth. That and more in our very important opening monologue. All right, our exclusive reporting on the DOJ. We can report right now that the missing FBI text messages, we'll tell you about it in a second. This is a game-changing development. But first, President Trump is letting the special counsel, Robert Mueller, know that there is no collusion and he has nothing to hide. Listen to this.
Going to talk to Mueller? I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Do you have a date set?
Here's the story, just so you understand. There's been no collusion whatsoever. There's no obstruction whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to it. I would love to do it.
Would you in person?
You know, again, I have to say, subject to my lawyers and all of that.
All right, with his lawyer's approval, that makes sense, but is that the smart play? Sounds like game on to me. The Drudge Report tonight has this headline up, and it sums it up perfectly. Trump stares down Mueller. I'll do it under oath. Now, Judge Jeanine Pirro, she'll join us later with legal reaction. Now, also tonight, the walls are closing in on those responsible for this massive corruption, abuse of power at the top levels of government in what we are now calling state-sponsored sabotage. Now, with this flood of damning news exposing all this malfeasance, the special counsel Robert Mueller and his spokespeople in the media are now working overtime. They want to create as many distractions as possible and discredit anybody that's telling the truth, like us here on the Fox News channel, for daring to report on the truth. Now, to be perfectly clear, for those that don't pay attention and want to advance lies and false narratives, we are not and never have been and never will be talking about rank-and-file members of the FBI, the DOJ, and the intelligence community. They honor us with their service every day. And there's no show on television that has and will continue to support these hardworking people that do such a service to their country. But the criminal wrongdoing that we are exposing has to do with only a few select Obama administration top bureaucrats who thought that they knew better than you did about who should be your president. Now, the liberal media is engaged in a total smear campaign. They want to shut up people like me and Greg Jarrett and Sarah Carter and John Solomon and Tom Fitton and Victoria Tunsing and so many others. They want to conceal the truth. Now, we've always had the utmost respect for the FBI. I've had family in the FBI and the intelligence community and police officers and firefighters and the military. Now, can the liberal media say the same for themselves? We know the answer. How many times have you heard them attack people in uniform, those that serve us as much as they do? Now that we're getting closer and closer every single night in uncovering this huge, historic, massive scandal, the media is rushing to slander and discredit those of us that are exposing this. At the end of the day, every one of these so-called journalists at these so-called news networks are going to look like fools that we already know that they are. The same people who have been clinging to a sinking lifeboat of this phony Trump-Russia collusion story. It's been a year, and they still cannot admit that they've been completely wrong. There's no evidence, and in many instances, they're flat out lying. And now, since none of this has worked, well, the media is now doing the bidding of Robert Mueller, their breathless, hysterical reporting about what the special counsel is doing. Don't believe me? Let your own eyes see.
A dizzying 24 hours in the Russia investigation, no longer just inching toward the president. This morning, it is more like careening.
Happening now, breaking news closing in. The special counsel's Russia probe closes in on the president and his inner circle. After 24 hours of bombshell reports and developments, another one. Just in, CNN has now learned that the special counsel, Robert Mueller, wants to question the president's former White House chief strategist, Steve Bannon.
The outline of an obstruction of justice case filling in bit by bit.
As NBC's First Read political team notes, if the optics around Bill Clinton's tarmac meeting with Loretta Lynch were bad, this is, quote, 100 times worse.
It was a day of revelations in the Russia probe.
If there's any day to be watching Ari, it is today. Russia, Russia, Russia.
A lot going on.
Now, have you noticed anytime there's big breaking news about this massive government abuse of power that's unfolding every night on this show, all of a sudden 3 or 4 stories about the special counsel's investigation in the media. They're all over the place, and it spreads like wildfire within their own echo chamber. So predictable at this point. The media is out of control with their bias. It's painfully obvious. And by the way, a lot of their information, I believe, when all is said and done, is probably coming from Robert Mueller and, of course, his liberal Democratic hacks that have been pushing this themselves. Now, also tonight, big developments about the explosive classified memo exposing FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. Fox News is reporting the Department of Justice is now asking the House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Devin Nunes, to not publicly release the memo that we deserve. Now, do the DOJ, do they not understand? Congress has oversight over them. They're investigating them. They don't have to hand the memo over to anybody, in spite of what the liberal media says. They shouldn't do it. Now, this is why we are once again calling on you, the American people, to call up your members of Congress, demand the memo be released. Release the memo. Hashtag release the memo. Call the number on your screen, 202-224-3121. Tell Congress the truth about one of the biggest scandals in American history, and we have a right to know. Also, breaking this hour, this is huge. New information about the missing Strzok Page text messages. Remember, 5 months, a very critical time period. Sources are exclusively telling me tonight, multiple sources, that the Department of Justice is, as we speak, in the process of successfully recovering many of those text messages in that 5-month period of time from the Trump-hating FBI officials Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. The DOJ is also trying to track down their mobile phones. This is huge because those texts are during that critical time during the so-called Russia investigation. Here's a big question tonight. Was the deputy FBI director, Andrew McCabe's cell phone impacted by this so-called glitch? McCabe, he was Lisa Page's boss, and both she and Strzok talked about, quote, the insurance policy in Andy's office. We believe that was McCabe.